I got an email today that threw me for a loop. And we're going to talk about it because this is very interesting. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Retro Hoop Collectibles. I got it. So let's start with a story. No, let's not start with a story. You guys, if you guys watched the channel, I'll link it in the description. The other day, and by the other day, I literally mean like a week ago or like a couple weeks ago, I did a submission to CSG. Okay, CSG. I did a submission because I wanted to try out their services. Okay, and you guys know I tend to gravitate towards a grading company because they offer something that's either interesting to me, intriguing to me, it's new. Okay, much of the grading that I've done is with companies that kind of fit that mold. Okay, actually, with the exception of SGC, SGC was just, in my opinion, aside from PSA, the next big company to go to that had the prestige and the time in the industry and all that stuff. So, but you guys, if you've followed the channel before, you know that I used to really crap on CSG when they first came onto the market, as that they were going to start grading sports cards. CSG is a smaller offshoot company of a much larger parent company that does everything from coin authentication to comic book authentication. They do all kinds of stuff. I'll let you guys Google it. It's worth the Google. Go check all that stuff out. But they recently got into grading sports cards, and so obviously with the market being super hot, they jumped into the sports card grading arena, and I ripped them to shreds because I thought they had what was at the time the worst looking label that you could possibly see, and so I wrote them off completely. Well, as you guys know, my brother owns Collect 3D Prints. Check them out in the description. They do all the these frames for your slabs so that you can hang them up on the or put them up on your shelves and display your cards. He purchased a CSG slab so that he can get the dimensions for it, so that he can design his cases for it, because he wanted to offer cases for CSG slabs. And he calls me over and he says, "Hey man, I know you don't like CSG. You've already written them off. You don't like the design. You don't like anything about it. But you need to come check out this slab. I have one in my hand, and you need to come take a look at it." And I was like, nah, that's, I don't really care. And he's like, "Dude, I'm telling you, you got to come see this thing." So intrigued enough, I went over there. He lives 15 steps away. And so I went over there, and I got that thing on my hand. And I've said this in another video. I'll link that video in the description, where I was completely blown away by the slab itself. Two things. Number one, the green that they use was not as ugly as I had seen it in the pictures on my computer. It was actually a nice kind of like a darker Kelly green, not really, but it was nice, and it had some holographic, the kind of sheen to it. It was a decent looking color. It was a decent looking green. So that turned me around. But what really spiked my interest was the acrylic that they use for the actual slab itself, the slab itself. It looked like glass. It looked like your cards were in glass. It was such a clear, like an optic. I don't know how to explain it. The only way that I can explain it is that if you used to watch 720p television and then you watch 1080p television, I'm pretty sure everybody else, even SGC, 720p, and these CSG slabs were like 1080p. So with that in mind, I kind of parked it in the back of my head and said, you know what, I'm probably going to give them a shot at some point. Well, about 2 weeks ago, I went ahead and did that. I submitted 3 cards. Again, I'll link that video in the description. Funny enough, Supersonics, 2 Supersonics, 2 Gary Payton rookie cards, and I think I sent like a Sean Kemp rookie card. I don't remember. PC stuff. I just wanted to try them out. Price point was comparable to SGC, about $30 a card. with subgrades, okay, which is one thing that they have over SGC. SGC does not have subgrades. CSG does have subgrades. And I went ahead and sent them out. And immediately the comments came in where there was a handful of you that have been waiting on your CSG orders for months, 6 months, 5 months. I've heard everything. I've heard up to 7 months. Somebody, it took them to get their cards back, 7 months to get their cards back. So I wrote it off in the back of my mind. I said, you know what? I'm not going to see these cards for at least 6 months or so. It is what it is. I sent them off. This is PC item stuff. I really don't care. And so I sent them out. This was on November. I think I sent the cards out like right around Halloween, probably. Maybe the next day after Halloween, that following Monday, which is November 1st. Probably even before that. Bottom line is that they received the order on November 2nd. They received my order. I got an email confirmation on November 2nd that they had received in my order. And I said, great. This is where the 6-month clock begins, or so I thought. Now, I just got an email on Tuesday, November 16th, that the cards have been shipped back to me. Cards have been shipped back to me. Now, I was a little bit taken back because I was like, dang, did they get this right? Are they really sending me my stuff back? I thought it was kind of weird. So I went and I checked. I checked online. I checked my orders. And yeah, they shipped them back. So we're talking about a total of, they received them on November 2nd. We're talking a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 business days. 10 business days in which my cards have come back. They're on their way back. You guys know I love me some SGC. Okay? Love me some SGC. However, if CSG were to offer a monochromatic label, get rid of the ugly green, I'd probably be sending a lot of cards there. I can guarantee you that, because they offer subgrades. So I think it's $25 a card without the subgrade, or $20 a card without the subgrade, but you pay an additional $10 for the subgrades. So you can choose to not get subgrades if you don't want them, and pay $20 a card. I shot for the subgrades, and so they, it was $30 a card. Thing is that I was kind of thinking about what they have to offer in terms of a grading company, and they check off all the boxes, right? I mean, they have a kind of a legacy in the grading industry and authenticating industry, right? So they have some history there. It's not just a pop-up overnight boutique grading company or just some guy that's grading your cards. So they have some structure there. There's some history there. It's not just a fly-by-night company. The price point is where I feel it should be, right? $30, $20 if you don't want subgrades. And the only thing that was kind of taking me away from all this is the label. I've talked about that, but the turnaround time kind of scared me a little bit too. But it was only 3 cards, and I went ahead and sent them out no matter what. But 10 days? We're talking about 10 days turnaround time, which is actually better than SGC right now. SGC right now is about, I think the last sub that we did was right at about 30 business days. So again, I want to make sure that I put out as much information as I can about everything that I do, right? So I don't talk about BGS because I haven't dealt with BGS, right? But I tell you what, if these cards come back in what is going to be a total of, 12 business days door to door, their price is comparable to SGC. Their turnarounds beat SGC. They have just as much legacy and history in the grading space as I don't know about as SGC. I really don't know how long SGC's been in it, but I know they've been around for a while. But they've been around for a while as well in other areas, but still within the same realm of grading and authenticating. So there's some lineage there. And man, if it wasn't for that green label, which is not ugly, I used to think it was ugly, but it's not ugly. I saw it myself in hand. It's not the ugliest thing, but it's not the best looking thing either. That green label puts them kind of in the same realm as PSA with their red label. That if they went to a, kind of a monochromatic label, they could win some people over. The one kicker that you're getting with CSG, if you don't mind the aesthetics of the green label, is that you're getting subgrades. And you guys know I just did a video on the importance, or what I feel is the importance of subgrades. So I'm excited to get these things back in hand, but I just had to do this video because I feel it's important to talk about these things objectively and somewhat pragmatically and say, hey, there are these markers within the decision-making process of picking a grading company. And for me, it's labels, it's turnaround time, it's customer service, it's price, and, label design, the acrylics, the actual case itself. So at this point, CSG is kind of hitting all those markers with the inclusion of having subgrades, with the exception of the labels. I don't really like the labels too much. I'm not a fan. But they offer subgrades, so that kind of makes up for the label. Anyway, I'm excited to get these things back in hand, and once I do, I'll do obviously a full reveal video. I haven't looked at the grades yet, so I don't know what they are. Those cards that I sent off were like 1980, either 8990 hoops and 8990 skybox, or 9091 skybox. So they're old cards. I don't expect any of them to do better than a 9, maybe even an 8, 8.5, somewhere around there. So I don't expect them to do really, really well, but they're PC items for me. So once I get those cards back in hand, I'm definitely going to do a video showing you guys that. But I wanted to get my initial thoughts about the process out there right now. So stay tuned for the video. I appreciate you guys watching. If you have already had a recent order come back with CSG, what was your experience? Let me know in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Love y'all. Peace.